All right. Today on the Run Lift Perform podcast, I have Ignas from Lithuania, who I came across because he made a couple of comments about his Iron Mile score, and it prompted me to call BS and go look at his Instagram, where he not only proved me wrong, but he was lifting more in those videos than he claimed on the Iron Mile, which was pretty eye-opening. So I got him on the podcast. Ignas, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ignas. I am hybrid athlete. It's actually hard to say that. Am I a hybrid? That's the question. Because I'm doing powerlift and running, which is kind of hybrid, but I don't do CrossFit and Hyrox. So it's like that is pure form of hybrid. So it's up to you how you're going to call me. But yeah, I'm just a guy who loves doing sports. And I'm doing that every day for 4 years now, almost 4 years.
And Ignas, before we talk about your very impressive numbers as far as what you've been able to accomplish for speed over distance and strength, how old are you for the audience? We talked about a birthday coming up.
Yeah, in 1 week I will be 30. So on a second part of my life.
So for those that are tuning in, I posted about the Iron Mile, and I have all of the data aggregated from different pools, be it fire, police, military, and special operations, and what their Iron Mile scores are. And the Iron Mile being 20 minutes to work up to a 1 rep max deadlift and then finish a mile for time. The number is your total deadlift that you were able to accomplish divided by your mile time expressed in a decimal point, and that spits out a coefficient. That's your score. Ignas, can you tell me what your Iron Mile score is, or what your numbers were for your deadlift and your mile for time?
Well, just that you know, I live in Lithuania and we have different measurement systems. So I don't like really think in pounds. I think in kilos. So we have to do a little bit math now. But yeah, and in Europe, we don't usually run mile that much. We do have races for that, but it's more common to see 1 kilometer than mile. So on deadlift, I can pull 260 every day, almost every day, 260 kilos. So how much is it in pounds?
585 pounds is 260.
Yeah. After race, after I didn't do like mile races, like I said. Every time I do videos that you saw on my Instagram, I'm doing it like an official race. And mostly I'm racing like 4, 5, 6K. That's my like race distance. But I also do like marathons and ultra marathons. So mostly I'm doing that after the race. And and after the race, mostly I can pull like 270 kilos. But my max is 280. So on 280, I was very fresh and very good mood. So it depends on that. But yeah, I would say 260 is like my daily weight, which I can pull every day. 270 is on the line and 280 depends.
So for perspective for the American audience who uses pounds, we're the only country that really does it, but 270 kilos is 595 pounds. 280 kilos is nearly 620 pounds. Now, I'm 190-pound body weight, and it's been my lifetime goal to deadlift 600 pounds. I had 585 for a really clean single. I went to 595 and couldn't pull it off the ground. It was crazy. Maybe this year is my year for a 600-pound deadlift. We'll see. How much do you weigh, Ignas?
Around 9,900 kilos, so it's like 215?
Yes, yeah,
I believe.
it's about 215. 220, 100 kilos, about 220. Dude, I'm thoroughly impressed by you because it's really rare to run across somebody that can actually do these things. And I'm an advocate for training towards both speed over distance and strength. And traditional strength and conditioning says you can't have both. But as you know, because you obviously have accomplished elite levels in both arenas, you know that it can be done. Can you talk me through how you structured your training to accomplish both?
Well, you see, if we would talk about like very specific sports guy, like for example, a runner who trains only to run, I don't know, like let's say 1K, he's probably gonna be like from 220 minutes to 230 or something. That's like around pro level, not yet, but like quite there. I think with 100 kilos to reach 220 time is like impossible. That's no chance. Like, I don't know how you have to train. you have to run insane mileage, and also you have to lift insane weights. So it's like it would be insanely hard, and I just maybe on drugs you can do it, but like naturally it's like no chance. Anyways, like how I train and how is this everything started, because most of the time when we are going to the gym, when we're starting out, we're doing either weights or we start running. We don't go to the gym. That's most common things we see. But for 11 years, I was riding BMX bikes, BMX freestyle, and I was like clumsy. I was very heavy. I couldn't do shit basically. Like I could do like, let's say, tail with bar spins, which is like good tricks on flat ground, but it's not like pro level, you know. And I live in Lithuania. We didn't have like opportunities to ride in winter, so I decided let's hit the gym, because I always wanted, like every time I was riding bike, I was thinking what would happen if I for 11 years would be in a gym and doing like strength training. So I hit the gym. First thing I do, I go on a treadmill and I just run like, I don't remember, 3 or 5K, probably it was 5K, just to see like where I'm at. And it was like 28 minutes, which is good. But like I said, I was riding bikes, so it's not like I'm started, you know, from completely zero. I didn't have cardio and shit. Yeah, I really liked running on treadmill, and I wasn't running outside for like half a year. I was running all only on treadmill, and my main goal was to reach 5K 20 minutes. Like I was going hard every day. Every day I was going hard. Like when I think about it now, it's insane. Like I go to the gym every day. I try to run like 12 minutes 3K, which is like on the way to sub 20, and like I'm doing that every day, no rest days. Also, after that, so when we're talking about beginning, when I started, also really wanted to have six pack,
Yeah.
just for looks basically. And I started doing this app on the phone. There is like 30 days to six pack or something. I checked out that app. Is basically all exercises laying on the ground and just, for example, lifting legs. You're doing like crunches, all sorts of stuff. It's like 25 minutes or something. And yeah, and I was doing that every day, basically, because I really wanted in winter to get abs for summer. So I was like really rushing it. And the one exercise I knew from a school, which was bench press. And I was doing that almost every day, almost every day. So when I started, it was 80 kilos, something like that. And I don't know, like I really loved lifting. Like it's just something in my genetics. Like, I don't know, maybe in yours too. Like when you just hit heavy weights, it's just so unreal. Like, and you just see the progress. And at the beginning, it just goes so fast, you know? So I really love this feeling. And yeah, winter goes by. I doing this kind of training every day. And one day I decided I need to try squats because I see people doing them. And I didn't know how to do squats. Like that was, you know, I never tried it. So even without weight, and I'm going to the rack, I'm putting like 100 kilo on the barbell, and the 100 kilo just fucking folded me like, and I have to stand up for this. So I didn't know like when that you have to know you have to stay upright like when you're squatting. I started like going shifting very forward like this, and then I'm like, shit, I cannot like lift this weight. So I did good morning with my back with 100 kilos just like that. It was so painful. Damn, it was insane.
Yeah. And you're a tall guy too, so that's a lot for a good morning.
Yeah, yeah. But this the moment that clicked in my head, like shit, I can't do 100 kilo. What the hell? Like it's my body weight. I need to like train for technique, and I did. Like I started training, and when you start squatting, you starting deadlifting because it's like, you know, you're already on the rack, so you have to do both. And my training
Yes.
was squats and deadlift on the same day. So like maybe 2-3 days bench and then rest for squats and deadlifts every day that's left. So yeah. But with deadlift, I started with like 160, I believe. That was my first time when I deadlifted. So I
Excellent.
already had a very good back. I believe it was from BMX and like life in general, what I did like. So maybe that's why.
Because when you bunny hop with a BMX bike, it's very much like a scapular retraction movement,
Yeah,
full
yeah.
body.
Well, in BMX, you always are in this position. So your back is always working, also your abdominals. So
Got it.
But the problem was that I didn't really understood the technique. How does it work? You just, when you're starting out, you're just thinking how to lift that weight. You don't think about technique and which muscles to engage, and that you have to use leg drive. I understood only like 2 years later, and even now sometimes I figuring out that I'm not using my legs properly, and that's why I'm not lifting that day maybe heavy weights. But that's how I started, and time flew by. Also, very cool story. After half a year, I started in January. 6 months later, I did 100-kilo bike ride on a gym bike and marathon. After that, I ran marathon after that. So
Just on your own, like just as a challenge?
yeah, I woke up and I'm like, I didn't know anything about fueling, about how you do this. I thought it would be cool, just to do that. Like it's insane.
I mean, I think it's cool.
So yeah, that was my first marathon. But I remember when I did this 100-kilo bike ride, and when I stepped down the bike, like my legs were cooked. Like I didn't know how I'm gonna be able to run marathon after that. Like it's impossible.
Yeah, your legs were pumped out. I used to do triathlon, and I remember getting off the bike, and the first mile or two in the run, you just felt like your legs were tree trunks.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's horrible feeling. Horrible feeling.
Yeah, and I didn't go 100 kilometers before either. I think my bike was 26 miles because I did Olympic distance. So by comparison, I basically sprinted a bike and still felt awful. You did 100 kilometers into a marathon on a
Yeah.
whim. That's impressive.
But the shit thing is that back then I didn't use Strava, so don't have like recordings. It's very sad, but and also after 2 months after this, I did my solo Ironman, which I just did for my own purpose. That was 4-kilo swim, 108 bike, but with like normal road bike, and marathon after that. And time was like 14 hours something, so it was shit. But when I was swimming that 4 kilometers, it took me a while because, dude, I don't know how to swim. Like I'm not very good swimmer. I never was. I don't like water at all. Like the stories like David Goggins says, you probably know him, right? He's like celebrity.
Yes, of course.
At least because I know some people who don't know him, so for me it's very weird. But anyways, he said that he really hated water, so that's why he started swimming a lot. And for me it was like kind of same thing, just I wasn't like really hardcore on like training to get better at swim. When I was going to do this challenge, my only thought was, if I can finish the swim, and if I don't drown, dude, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish it. And while I was swimming, it took like 1 hour 50 or something. I got park ticket because my car was I didn't pay for tickets for my car to stand in a parking lot.
While you were in the
So
water, they give you a parking ticket?
yeah, and I had to remove the car from the area. So in my T stop,
During the race.
yeah, it wasn't the race. It was my own challenge, but
Yeah, yeah.
but again, back then I didn't know anything about fueling. I was using this smashed fruits or something, I don't know how is it called. Nothing that would help to finish the a marathon or even Ironman. It's useless shit that I took. So yeah.
We spoke a little bit before we started recording, and I think it's worth mentioning that you don't take any supplements, minus a little bit of protein maybe. That is very much a foreign concept in the American strength and conditioning community, because we are always looking for the next edge, be it chemical or supplement or whatever might be available on the market. We'll try it if someone says it's going to work. You are of an opposite mindset. I want your take on it and how you have been able to accomplish so much without any kind of supplementation as a baseline.
I don't know, for me, most of the supplements multivitamins and stuff like this is useless. I believe so, at least. When we talk about creatine, maybe it's good. It depends. Some people saying it's good. Some people it doesn't work. What is good and what it works is drugs, actual drugs,
Actual drugs work.
testosterone. PADs, that works. That's for
Yes.
sure works.
Yes, it does. We talked a little bit about my journey with testosterone. I tried to get on testosterone, and man, I've tried 4 separate times to be on testosterone with a prescription, and I get horrible acne every time I do it. Because I mean, I would love to be on drugs. I would love to do it, but the health detractors for me personally aren't worth it. But yeah, that out of all the supplements I've ever taken, I was my strongest on testosterone. I wish I wasn't, and I certainly do miss that edge, but it's not necessary. You don't need it. And another one of the things that happened when I was on testosterone, because I run and lift like you, I got horrible calf strains when I was running for speed. Any kind of like 400-meter or 800-meter repeats, I would have these horrible calf strains. And after doing a little bit of research, I was inducing polycythemia, increasing my red blood cell count, so much so that the blood was unable to get into the smaller compartments of my calf. And so I was essentially suffocating muscle mass in my calves because of testosterone abuse. And so now I do take creatine, fish oil, and that's it because of all of the health detractors associated with some of the drugs that definitely work for strength and conditioning, but they weren't worth it to me personally to keep going.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. The thing is that with all these supplements, you don't really feel your body that much. You feel like Superman if you like on high doses, you know? And then you start having really sick injuries like torn biceps from bench press.
Yes,
Yeah, you had
biceps, pec minors tear,
yeah.
Achilles injuries.
So because like you just can't keep up with body, like, you know, drugs make you feel that you can do it, but it's just your body is not conditioned to do that. And when we talk about like this smaller supplements, like you said, creatine, protein, I noticed that many beginners, when they starting lifting or running, it doesn't matter, maybe they don't like doing both, but anyways, if you go to the gym, they start taking these supplements, and they ask me, like my friends ask me, what supplements should we take? And I'm like, dude, just go to the gym, lift for a year. If you can accomplish that, if you can lift for a year, then you maybe start thinking about maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't take that. Just go, just start loving gym. That's the main reason. And people just trying to get too many, like, you know, stupid ideas before they lift. I don't know, like I don't get it.
I have a friend of mine who he fell out of shape. He was a former military guy, and he fell out of shape. We were working together on a project for the government, and he said, "Okay, I'm ordering a new cycle of testosterone, Dianabol, CG," and he just goes down the gambit of drugs. And I was like, "So you're going to start training now and then add those into your regimen?" And he goes, "No, nope. I'm gonna do that first, and when I start feeling good again, I'll get in the gym." And I'm like, "Man, I think you're doing this backwards. You know, I'm not a genius or nothing, but I don't think it works that way."
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like Ronnie Coleman, for example, he wasn't on steroids when he was like powerlifting. At least that's what he said, and I would believe him, like, because his numbers weren't like insanely crazy for powerlift, you know. And he started taking drugs like 28, 9 years old or something. So or strongman, for example, like older strongmans, they all started taking like later, not when they were young or when they started lifting. First, you have to reach your maximum, like without anything, and then maybe you should start thinking about drugs. But if you like this idea of taking drugs, like for example, at hands games, I really love the idea. Like, why not? Just if someone
Same.
wants to take it. And in professional sports, I believe drugs are everywhere. Like Nadias in UFC said, everyone is on drugs. Like the best athlete is not the ones that are actually physically strongest, but the ones that have best scientists. So I would
That's
agree on
true.
that. And hands games is, I don't know, for me, it was like entertainment, very good. But My thinking why I'm not taking anything is because I'm not taking even belt, because you've seen in videos I don't use belts, I don't use sleeves, I don't use anything. I'm just going like full raw because I'm trying to have that strength for everyday use. Like when I'm gonna need it, I'll have it. Maybe I don't need it now because I don't work anything like physically, like with where I need strength, but you never know what will happen in your life. Maybe the war will start. It could be.
Yeah,
There's
I
always
mean,
chance.
I so hope not. I'm so
I
tired of
hope so
war.
too. I hope so too. But it just, you have to be prepared for everything that life throws at you. And with full raw lifting and running, it's very good starting point to just go overcome all this dark side of life. I believe so.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. I work with a lot of guys trying to go into the special operations professions in the United States, and a lot of guys will ask questions associated with, well, do I need to be lifting? How much do I need to be running? What's my mileage like? And so I've made a small career out of giving guys that advice. And what I found is a lot of guys want to know the secret. How exactly do I get selected for special forces? And I'm sure there's a secret. There's a supplement I can take, or there's the perfect amount of mileage, or the perfect lift that I need to do that'll guarantee success. And you hit on it earlier in our conversation that before you start looking for any secrets or edges or supplements, you really just need to be consistent. You need to get into the gym, run regularly, and lift regularly. Now, I think we can both agree your earlier programming was like mine. It was very JV. It was like, well, I want to deadlift and squat heavy and I want to run fast. So I'm going to do a 5K every day as fast as I can. And I'm going to deadlift and squat every day as much as I can. And, that worked for you because you were consistent obviously up to a certain point where you
That's
had
the
to
word,
be.
consistent. That's the word, consistent.
I tell guys, hey man, you got to put in the work. You got to do the miles. You got to do the lifts because being strong is the foundation of endurance. If you just focus on one end of the spectrum, be all the way endurance, then you're not going to be successful in these tactical professions. And you have very much mastered, in my opinion, and I think that your lifts and your runs speak to it, you've mastered this approach. So now that you've moved from your early days in strength and conditioning, where are you at now? You no supplements, no belts, raw, and you're currently lifting and running faster than I think I've witnessed anybody else.
Well, I would say I'm not really fast at running. Depends on distance. I would say I'm good at like 400 meters because of my weight. I'm good at like 1 kilometer to a mile. That's my like sweet spot, I would say. Not so good at 5Ks because for 3Ks I'm kind of okay, but then like when I have to run for extra 2 kilometers, my body weight just becomes nightmare. But
Yes.
I really love this distance because you have to suffer, and but not for too long. It's more, it's like 10 minutes of suffering, so it's not that much.
I agree. And the
Yeah,
reason I chose the mile, and I tell people this all the time, the reason I chose the mile for this challenge was because outside of all the scientific reasons, there are scientific reasons as for how you utilize energy, glycolysis, oxidation, and the creatine pathway, and how it measures all that. But outside of that, if you can run a 5-minute mile, I know that you can run 5K or 3 miles in around 6 minutes. That
exactly.
and like if you can run a 5-minute mile, I know within a degree of certainty that you could probably finish, a 50K if you had to. I think it's the distance that we can assign somebody as the most broad measurement of endurance capability.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I'm always for speed. Like I said, when I started running, I always did these very hard, I wouldn't say hardcore, but hard runnings, but like for 5Ks every day. And then I just, from time to time, I just tried out 10Ks. I didn't like run 10Ks every day. I just run like 3 kilometers all out. And you just have to drop speed just a little bit and you can run 10K. Like it's that easy. But most people, I don't know why they're thinking that. They started doing like huge mileage at beginning of their like running careers and they just never run fast. I have some friends who running 30, 40 kilometers a day. Like it's insane mileage. And it's like on 30 pace for kilometer. So is it like
Slow.
9-10 minutes miles something?
Yeah, 9 or 10 minutes.
And they never train like for fast times, which I think it's the problem. Long distances doesn't work if you run only long distances. Long distances work when you are kind of professional, I would say. It's good with speed work. It doesn't work like if you train only for speed. No, if you work only for speed, that works. But if you work only for long distances, that won't work on speed, because you are not gonna be very good at like shorter distances, like mile, because you just don't know how to run with good economy.
I couldn't agree more. A couple of things. In the United States, there's this propensity for zone two training, and it's great. You know that we have to have long, slow distance built into our program somewhere. But the
Yeah, yeah,
problem is people are doing zone two training and they're not taking the next step and doing the sprints, and that you need to build speed into your program. People are saying, oh, well, if zone two is 80% of the solution, I'll just zone two all the time. And we're creating slower, albeit, zone two is great for like health and longevity, but we're creating slower athletes by not taking the next step. And the percentage typically assigned for volume in your running for us is like, you want 80% of your training to be zone two and 20% to be, zone four and above, sprint like lactate threshold stuff. But what I found in athletes that have already developed a baseline of cardiorespiratory efficiency is, I think that number is closer to 60-40. 60% zone two, long, slow distance, and then 40% of your total accumulated mileage, be it speed. And I'm saying that for a very specific individual, like somebody that has, can successfully complete a 10-mile jog without dying, somebody that has
yeah,
a foundation or an engine already built. What's your take on that?
yeah. I would agree on that. Well, in Europe we have the same thing, that it's 80% zone 2 and 20% hard work, but I could agree on that if we talk about like very huge professionals, like elite level of running. I would agree that would work, because at least that's my approach, how I think that works. They're running that 20% extremely hard. They're doing, I don't know, intervals, tempo runs. Maybe if you're training for marathon, they will do 35 kilometers tempo run, which is insane. And that's going to be 20%. But they need to get huge mileage like for endurance, and they cannot go like 40 kilometers every day hardcore. So that's what, and this is what they do is they run slow just to get that mileage and not to get tired for very hard sessions. If you're training that way, that could work, but the problem is most people don't work out that way. They just
No,
like, mostly it's not like 80-20, mostly it's like 95 slow, like extremely slow, and then 5 maybe sometimes do like sprints, but it doesn't work that way.
it had been maybe, and I'm admitting this and I'm a little embarrassed, but I had in my program that I put out for free, I'm doing it along with some other people. I had 4 by 200 meter repeats, and it was a deload week, so it wasn't meant to be a lot of volume. But that was the fastest I've probably run in 2 years. And I was embarrassed about it because I was like, I've run this fast in years. Why is that? And it's because my distances were programmed at 400 meters plus, maybe 800 meters for
Yeah.
repeats. And so I lost that nervous system development on the speed. And I realized when my leg turnover was so fast in the 200s, I was like, I am missing out on a lot of speed and locomotion and economy of motion by not doing these shorter distance sprints. I'm curious, what does your like weekly makeup look like for your run program?
So it really depends what I'm training for. So when I used to train more for ultras, my peak week was 222 kilometers in a week. Yeah, that was my peak. But that sounds crazy. But I don't know. Do you know this guy, Alexandras Sorokinas?
Yes, yes.
So he is friend of mine. He is like my buddy. And if you see his weekly distance is just absurd. It's insane. Like I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's 300 kilos average per year per week. it's average. So
Ignis,
sometimes he
I
doesn't
don't know
run
if
at
I
all.
drive 300 kilometers a week in my
It's
car.
insane. Like, and when you see his workout, he does like marathon in the morning on 350 pace, like just like that. It's like that. It's like, and his heart rate, when you check his heart rate, it's like 125 or something. Like,
If I'm walking
bro,
fast, my heart rate's still at 130.
it's insane.
So,
Yeah,
how much do you think, and I'm curious because I've been asking myself this question, how much do you think is his training methodology and how much do you think is his genetic makeup? Is it in between or is it more training or more genetics?
I would say he definitely have good genetics for tolerating lactates, so he doesn't have that much pain in legs when he's running. But he also is insanely hard worker, like insane. He, like I said, he works out like in the morning 40 kilometers, in the evening plus like 20 kilometers, 16 a day. So I believe he definitely has like huge genetics advantage, but like all pros says, genetics plays a role if you're trying to achieve world records. But with shit genetics, you also can achieve very good results. You just have to be consistent and work insanely hard. Like there is no professional in the world which didn't train hard for his goals. Like none.
I agree, and I'm glad you and I feel the same way about it. I'm a Green Beret in the military, and a lot of people that are not in the military, they look at special forces and they're like, "Oh, those guys must be 6 foot tall, 120 kilos. They can run a mile in 5 minutes." And I hate to let those people down, when they run into me and I'm short and I'm about as wide as I am tall, not exceedingly pleasant to look at. And what I tell people is in my community, in the special operations community, we are very mediocre men that have just maintained consistency and are able to accomplish together some incredible things. And I find what you said really rings a bell with me because you're like a professional athlete. Yes, he will rely upon genetics, but the rest of us are unfortunately we're anchored to hard work if we want to accomplish anything extraordinary. And I really like that. I don't know that I hit it. What is your mile time, Ignis?
I didn't run like all out mile, but I did run in training just for fun, and 520 is easy, I would say. So my 1K time in the race, like actual official race, was 2:54. So I truly believe that I could go under 5 minutes a mile if I would go for that. But I'm saying 5:10 just in case, like if I have shit day or something.
Sure,
But
sure.
5:20, I did like when I had hard week, and it was like from Monday to Friday hard week, and then on Saturday I did mile, and it was 5:30 or 5:20. So my legs were dead, but I did that number. So
That's awesome.
and yeah, but I'm trying to get better at mile right now, and at 1K 1 mile. So you asked me about my mileage now. So my mileage now is like around 50-60 kilometers, but I'm more doing now speed workouts. So, and I'm trying to become better lifter. So I don't want to be very good at ultras because I'll drop my strength. So I have to, hold that level somewhere. And I believe working out for a mile, like 5K, is better for lifting.
I think so too. And one of the better selling programs that I have is the strength and 5K program. And it's a happy balance between volume and intensity. And, guys love that program. But I tell them, I'm like, this is the most distance you can really train and hone in on without sacrificing a degree of strength. I say, I have a strength plus 10K program, and I'm like, some people, maybe 60% of the population that try it, will be able to gain in strength and speed on both. If you're genetically prone to that, you will be able to simultaneously have concurrent gains. But I tell people if you're on an off season where you're not deploying, maybe you're a wildland firefighter and you're not fighting fires that month, it's the winter time, to get into a program that you can make concurrent gains in both. And then when you go back into your sport or your profession, that's when you specialize again and you put, like for you, the ultras, maybe that's your season. And then you go back to doing mileage, but maybe with a little more speed under your belt because you focused on your 5K, for instance?
Well, now I have in 2 months ultra race, and I'm not really, like I said, training for that. But what I do now, because for me, more important race is going to be in 1 month, which is going to be 1K. That's more important race for me. But after 1K, I'm probably going to do like a couple very long runs, maybe not hard ones, but just to get used to longer distances. But I know from previous year that you don't have to run like insane mileage to run ultra marathon if you're training every day and you're training for speed. Maybe you will have more pain than the guy who is like actual training for that, but you're gonna finish it. So last year I didn't do any long runs. I just did one marathon like 2 months before that race, like official marathon. I was pacing for my friend, and then I did that ultra, and it was 70 kilometers in 5 hours 49 or 50 minutes. So it's like 5 pace all the time.
That's
That's
awesome.
without long runs.
That's awesome.
And in storm also.
Awesome. The last podcast I did was with this guy Mike. I had to protect his identity because he's still in positions where it matters. But he was one of two finishers on a 100-mile race, and I think it started with like 22 people or 23 people, and it was on the trail. But there was a storm, and people dropped out because their feet were destroyed by the storm, and it was so muddy that people weren't able to gain traction. And so he finished first place, and there was another finisher 5 hours behind him. But he
Damn.
said the storm made such a huge difference on performance just because he was like, your shoes got wet, your hip flexors locked up, and your feet were destroyed because the muddy terrain, for every step you took 2 steps back. So people don't recognize how much weather can make a play on your performance on an ultra. It's huge.
It is. It is. Well, I don't do like trail runs. I do like laps ultras. So like Sorokinas does. So you have 2 kilometer lap on concrete, and you're just running like that for 70, for 100 kilometers. So that's my main like race. The reason why I don't do ultras first is exactly the same reason why Sorokinas don't do trails. Is I don't want to get lost. Like it's just,
Yeah.
for me, it's just stupid. Like you train so much and you just get lost and that's it. You fucking lose. Like what the hell? Because there wasn't like any flags, like, where it should be. So, and you missed the turn. And actually that did happen. I ran this year 21 kilometers in trail just for charity. They just asked me, like Rimanto Kaukėno Fondas, we have very nice charity here, and they asked me to run for their name, and I did. And I was running again on 5 pace. It was like huge elevation gain. I believe like definitely more than kilometer on half marathon. I can't remember now. So I got lost and I didn't finish in like 2 hours half marathon, which I was like very pumped that I'm gonna finish that in 2 hours.
In 2
Which for
hours.
me it would be very nice, because I never run a trail. And I was with very shitty shoes. Man, that was horrible race. But I got lost, and I had to run extra like 3 kilometers. So
Yeah, that's so frustrating. And, I race coordinators, I think they're always optimistic on the ability for you to decipher what things mean on the trail. Cause I've been on a 50K and I took a turn that was wrong. And when I got done, the race organizer was like, "You missed the cone that was there to point." And I'm like, "Cone? I did this whole race. I didn't see any cones. What are you talking about?" Because you're focused, you lose some of that cognition when you're running anything over 10 miles. My brain shuts off, and I go into like a zen state. So those race coordinators, I think a lot of them are, they're ultra runners themselves, and so maybe they have more brain power than I do when they're running distance, but I certainly don't.
I believe it's just they are thinking that you have to be also a very good navigator, which kind of would make sense, but it's like I just don't want to put my brain in this like thinking like that. I have to run and then think a lot. I just want to have a good time. So that's why
Yes.
I'm running on concrete, which is also could be extremely hard because you're doing basically like loops all the time and your feet are like just bashed like after that. But you just have to stay focused and run straight. That's what I really like.
Yeah. High functioning people I like to think of myself as one of them at least. Have a difficult time shutting your brain down when there's not enough stimulus. And so the more stimulus, the more I can relax for whatever reason. But when I'm running, it's challenging enough for my brain to just focus on running. And that is therapy to me. That enables me to kind of let go of some of the external stimulus that might be driving stress up. And I always feel better after a run, after a long, slow run, at least.
Okay, well, for me, like most of the people are saying why they're running ultras just to release demons and shit like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for me, like I'm thinking so much when I'm running what I should take, what gels, and like how I'm running, how I'm gonna approach next kilometer. It doesn't matter which distance like I'm running. I'm always thinking about that. So I don't know how people are shutting down their brains. For me, it's like I'm just on a race mode all the time. So
That's probably why you're a lot faster than me, because I turn into a dumb guy and you turn into a smarter guy.
I mean, there are some very good ultra runners who somehow can sleep during the race. So run and sleep, or swimmers, for example. I don't understand this, how they can swim and sleep. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, that's like one of those nightmares I have where I'm drowning. It's when I try and swim and sleep at the same time.
And in the sea, not in the lake, in the sea, like where
Yeah, no,
huge
no.
waves.
There's sharks in the sea, brother. Like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I very much like my land creatures where I can climb a tree to
Oh,
get away
yeah.
from them. Okay. I want to be a good steward of your time. One last thing. You said it when we started, and I want to talk about it. You were like, "Am I a high?" You introduced yourself. I'm a hybrid athlete, which I agree with. And you're like, "Well, actually, am I a hybrid athlete? Because I don't do CrossFit or high rocks." So first and foremost, I started out my strength and conditioning journey doing CrossFit as a young man, and loving it. And then obviously I've moved away from that, and now high rocks is becoming super popular everywhere. And I very much like that event. I haven't competed in High Rocks yet. I think it might be fun to try my hand in it. But I don't define hybrid athletics by those two events any more than I would define my Iron Mile challenge, that you have to do that to be a hybrid athlete. My definition is very much anybody that needs to make concurrent gains on speed over distance and strength, measured as kilograms on the bar, is how I measure my training, but that's not necessarily what I have to label somebody a hybrid athlete. So if you could talk to that, that'd be great.
I mean, every sport is like a game. Like for example, there is calling Olympics, Olympic Games. So Hyrox is a game, and either you are good at it or you are not. CrossFit's same thing. So yeah, I believe like hybrid is like when you're doing running and lifting. That's like the purest form of it. Because even CrossFit and Hyrox, that's the question. Is that hybrid sport? Because it's more towards endurance. I think most hybrid sport that I can think of maybe is this new standard attics, or how is it called, where you have like a couple of strength exercises, then you have pause, then you go to run 12 minutes, or 12 minutes bike, and then you have again pause, and then you do another how's this CrossFit shit, like when you just doing burpees and like jumping
Yeah,
on the box and stuff like that. So that's like I really looking forward. It's just new thing that just came out, and it would be really nice to compete there. But Hyrox for me is more endurance sport, and I believe like you don't have to have very high strength for that.
I
But
agree.
it would be cool if there would be some sort of sport where would be ultra marathon and lifting heavy weights. That would be very cool.
I would want to see that. I tell guys, man, you run over 10 miles, you're specializing, and then I see guys, man, I can't remember his name, it escapes me now, but he runs Bear Performance Nutrition over here. And, he gets a lot of flack for potentially being on some form of performance enhancement drugs. I don't care. He's still fast and strong. But he does do, fast marathons, and he's capable of lifting a lot of weight. I think that that'd be fun to watch and hone in on. I think a lot of that requires so much consistency and dialing in of programming that if you're going to do both, it's wise to seek out somebody that is capable themselves of doing both, so they can get you there without making a ton of mistakes on the way that could potentially get you like overuse injuries and stuff.
Yeah, I believe with this kind of format, when you have to run, I don't know, like let's say 80 kilometers and then lift heavy, it should be some sort of levels for people, because if you just put 80 kilometers run, and after that 80 kilometers run, person has to lift a little bit weight. I think like there would be 99% that wouldn't do it. Like after 80
Yes, no, I
kilometers, they would be
agree.
dead. Like so there should be some sort of levels where people could start, but it would be very nice idea. And I really like this table that you made with the mile time and deadlifts. It would be very nice like race when you add up these numbers.
That's what I want to do. I want to invite CrossFit competitors and High Rocks competitors and like hybrid athletes to a track and actually run the Iron Mile. And your score is your score. And instead of, well, this is a woman's weight and this is a man's weight, it all stays the same, but you compete against your bracket. So if you're a female under the age of 28, you fall into the open category and you compete,
Yeah.
with those. That's how I'd like to structure it. I think it's a cool measurement. It's a great metric to determine whether or not you're in a good lane for general physical preparedness and like your hybrid endeavor. But I also think that it'd be a really fun competition, one that doesn't take all day. You do your run and 20 minutes later you get your score.
Yeah, that's the thing with marathons and ultras. It takes a lot of time, and for viewers, it's not really interesting to watch that.
No. The commentators on the CrossFit Games, they did like a 7K trail run, and the trail was treacherous. Like it was really steep. The terrain was awful,
Yeah.
and the commentators are like, "Well, there he is making another right turn." They were like trying very hard to make it interesting, but it was not interesting to watch. And so part of the Iron Miles draw, at least I hope, is that it would be a fun spectacle to film and share, and you could put it on social media. And like, I'd be willing to bet that there are some phenomenal athletes like you that would show up and just blow the numbers out of the water. I've only ever witnessed one person getting over 100 on the Iron Mile score, and it was another teammate. It was another Green Beret. And I proposed to him my idea. This was 2.5 years ago. And he was like, I want to try it. And he can't remember his exact numbers, but I want to say it was a 515-pound deadlift, and he did something like a 500 or a 5 minute and 5 second mile, which is so fast. And he was not a small guy. And I was just awestruck that he was able to do that. But what made it impressive to me is that this individual was also one of the top performers on my ODA, my special forces team. And so it was cool to me because I was like, okay, well, this number measures physical ability in a way that is applicable to a tactical profession, which to me was proof of concept.
Yeah, well, these numbers are insane, like you said, for this guy.
It, they are insane.
And I think just to watch this whole event would be very interesting. Like you said, it's the energy is happening all the time. Like fast mile, you're seeing like how people are running, and it's not like boring, because I don't know if it would be in stadium or something. You see like all these people like just
Yes.
competing, and then you have like maybe lift after the run, and like, will this guy hit it? Will this guy hit it after this like very strong mile? That would be so interesting.
Well, give me a reason to do it in Lithuania. I need a vacation, brother. Get me out
Well,
of the
if you
United
come to
States.
Lithuania, we most definitely can do this mile challenge of yours
Okay.
that you
Okay.
made. Most definitely we can do that.
I'll make it a part of my business, and I'll be able to write it off on taxes. Me going to Lithuania.
Man, I would love to work out with you. It would be
Uh,
amazing.
Dude, let's do it, man. I always wanted to go when I was a part of a military component that would go to Lithuania sometimes. And I always wanted to go, but I always got stuck in Afghanistan
Oh shit!
or Africa. It was like, oh,
It's
you want to go to
much
Lithuania?
better here. It's much better here,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, so I hear. Dude, you've been awesome. I think we could do like a 5 series episode on just your stuff. And I still have questions. Do you do coaching for folks on the side?
Not really, not really.
Man, I would consider it
Maybe in the
because,
future.
yeah,
But the thing that I'm kind of focusing right now, which is my like the biggest goal. So I believe you don't have this in America, but in Lithuania we have like grades, how good at sport you are, like at political level. Let's say like this. So
really?
there's a master of sport, which you get a document that you are like very good at, for example, running or lifting. But it's very hard to get that. For example, in running, in 1 kilometer, you have to run 218 kilometer to get that. So that's not possible. But there is 24 hours and 100 kilometer, which is kind of maybe possible. So in 24 hours, you have to run like in loops. You have to run 220 kilometers, which I believe is possible. Most definitely, I would train like for ultras. And 100 kilometers, you have to run on 4:30 pace. I don't remember the time, but it's like 4:30 per kilometer. So it's hard, but it's doable. So I really want to get that, or to get that in lifting, or both. In both, that would be just mind blowing. But because most of the time people have only one and they have to work their asses off to get that. Like
Yes.
document that says that you're a sports master. That's just nuts.
What lifts do you have to perform to get the
Yeah,
master
so
done?
in powerlifting, for my weight class, which is 105 now, because there's no way I could drop my weight to 93, which would be lower category. So for 105 kilos, you have to do total of 695 kilos, I believe.
Ooh. All right, I'm gonna do the math real quick. So your total in pounds, I'm doing the math, would have to be 1,529 pounds. My
Yeah.
my total as a power lifter, and I was 185 or 182. So I was nearly 88 kilograms, I think, was
Oh, yeah.
1,412. That is crazy. That is so much weight. Yeah.
Well, when I calculate like how much I have to improve, it's hard, but I believe it's doable because so I calculated what I have to improve now, for example. So on a good day, 280 kilos deadlift, I need to raise that on 305 kilos. So it's like 25 kilo plus, but it's not like insane 100 kilo plus. It's just 25 kilos. Then on squats, my best is 210. So I need to get 230 to 40 kilos, which I believe that squat would be the hardest one because it just like doesn't move for me. Because of running, I believe that I reached that very maximum.
Yeah.
But in winter, maybe I'll get higher scores because in winter I'm doing more squatting.
That's
Uh,
fair. Too much snow.
yeah, well, I'm running in snow. I can't do intervals every day, so my legs are not that tired in the winter. So I can perform better on squats, and I eat more, so I can raise my body weight a little bit. So, for example, after this winter, I was 203 kilos, and I dropped my weight by 3 kilos now because I'm just running a lot every day. Yeah, so maybe if I can get again my weight to like 104, 105 kilos, maybe it's possible. And on bench, I need 165, 170 kilos, which now is 155. So I'm pretty close to it.
Well, you're right there on all of those lifts. You could do it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in 1 year.
Yeah, but if I would drop running, that's the thing. If I would like stop running, then I don't think that would be very hard just because my legs would be like relaxed all the time. But nowadays, like my legs always tired, just I don't feel it that way. For example, when I go do deadlift, and you can see like again on my Instagram, I do in the morning tempo run 4 kilometers on 350 kilometer pace. And then in the evening, 5 kilometer on 350 again. And then I go deadlift. So I cannot use my legs very properly.
Dude, I'm looking forward to the day in Lithuania when you are making fun of me for not being able to keep up with your regiment. That is awesome.
I have friends who are not at that level, but I'm very happy to see that they trying like to just, their best. I just happy to see people who are trying and not quitting because that's the problem with most people. And the thing that we talked about in the beginning, people are not consistent. Like people just going to the gym, best case scenario for 1 week. That's it. They never touched barbell again. And I just don't get it. Like if you really want to achieve your goals, you have to stay consistent. It doesn't matter. Is it sport? Is it business? Is it whatever? But you have to stay consistent and you have to try. So that's most important. And I'm very happy when people don't quit.
Same. And when I see somebody that might be overweight or they're out of shape and they're in there every single day, I make it a point to say, "Hey, man, you're doing really good. Like I noticed that you're losing weight, or I noticed that you're putting a lot of work on the treadmill. Like, what are you training for, man? That's cool." I like starting a conversation with those people because sometimes they're doing it by themselves with no like social backstop, and maybe some people are like, "I can't believe you're going to the gym every day. Like that's not for you." It just takes one person sometimes being like, "Hey, I noticed that you're working hard." And I think that that's cool to keep them engaged. And
Yeah.
part of what I like about this profession is that I get to talk to people a lot that I sold programs to or hit me with questions. And I get to be that person. It's like, "Hey, dude, like send me your heart rate data and let's look over it." And I give feedback. And sometimes that level of accountability that I'm going to ask for your heart rate data is all they need to stay in the gym. I like being that person at least.
Yeah, well, when you talked now about this, I thought that I think the golden key for success in gym is just if you know that you're not gonna be consistent, for example, you have to come every day to the gym. I think that's the easiest way to stay consistent in the gym, you know.
Yes.
It's like I'm not talking about going every day in the gym and just grinding like this. Just go as hard as you can. Just come to the gym and do 5 minutes workout. And the reason why I'm saying this is if you come to the gym and you will be like, fuck, did I came for like 5 minutes here? Nah, I'll gonna go like just do like bench press or something for half an hour. And it's gonna improve your strength and running everything. If you don't want to go run, you go run like every day, every morning. I just don't understand when people are saying I don't have time. It's impossible. Like you just have to have 20, 30 minutes per day to run. That's it.
My father said something when I was young, and I've always lived by it. And he said, "When you really don't want to go and you really don't want to go outside and work out or run, those are the days where you have to do it." And when
Yeah.
he first said it to me, I think I was 12 years old or 13. And it didn't really resonate with me until I stopped working out and I started training. And I realized the days when I'm going to compete in an event, I don't remember the days I felt good and trained. I reach back and I say, I trained on the days that I didn't want to be there. And that's why I'm going to win today. And that level of confidence and drive carried into my performance when it mattered in sport or when it mattered in military endeavors. And so that's why I tell people, I'm like, you're going to be so glad you did it when you didn't want to do it at all, because when it matters, it's going to be there.
But I don't know how is it for you, but for me, this training when you don't want to or you have some sort of health problems, for me, it's I'm getting on fire at that moment. Like, for example, on Monday, I had food poisoning. I was vomiting, shitting myself all night. And then came the evening. And like I said, I'm running, like training every day for 4 years. I never stopped it. Even after 107 kilometers ultra, I went next day to run 3 kilometers. So, anyways, so on Monday I had this horrible diarrhea, and the evening comes, and I'm like, okay, let's just run a kilometer, and that's it. Call it a day. At least I'll do something because I felt like shit. And then I start running. I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And then I started feeling this adrenaline, like, let's see how fast I can run today. And I was just running like on 430-kilometer pace this all time. I stopped running and I felt so fucking good because I knew that if I can do this on very shitty day with very shitty health, I can do it on a regular day easily. So for me, it's always this, I don't know, very cool feeling
Dude,
to do hard
absolutely.
things when you feel very shit.
Yes. Well, it's a testament to your grit for sure, but also character, man. Like you're building character when you force yourself to do it, and then force yourself to enjoy it.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Dude, this show was probably one of my favorites so far. We'll sign off from here, but I'd love to schedule a follow up with you after we get off, and maybe do another one because I think we could dive really deep into your training methods and all the listeners, to include myself, would only benefit.
No problem, man. I really love talking to you. Very great show. And I hope this information helps for someone who wants to start doing training or who trying to reach their goals. Just stay consistent, train, and you will get there. Trust me.
Thank you, Ignas. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.